Hi everybody. Today I'm participating in the eyeshadow palette tag. Two YouTubers started this and their names are Samantha March and Allie Glines. And I've seen this video done by a lot of other YouTubers as well. So this video is all about my eyeshadow palettes. Alright, so first we have my newest eyeshadow palette. Okay, my newest eyeshadow palette is from the Lip Bar, and this is the Brown Bombshell palette. This one is so new, I've only swatched it. I haven't had a chance to wear it yet. But I look forward to trying it out. Because it's nice and neutral. A good everyday palette, I think. And it comes with a little brush. Isn't that cute? Okay, so this is my newest palette. And next is my oldest palette. Now this is not necessarily my oldest eyeshadow, because I have some quads and singles that are quite a bit older than this one. But my very first full-size eyeshadow palette was from BH Cosmetics. And this is the Blushed Neutrals. I was so excited to get this the first time. And I used it a lot. The blushes and the eyeshadows. I don't use it so much anymore because, of course, I have a lot more palettes these days. And then the next one is my most expensive eyeshadow palette. And, of course, it has to be Pat McGrath's Divine Rose 2. And just as recently as a couple of months ago, if somebody told me that I would actually purchase this eyeshadow palette, I would have said, maybe in the next lifetime. But I actually did. And I'm so happy that I did. It's beautiful. And I can't wait to start wearing it. So far I've only played with it a little bit, but I haven't actually worn it, you know. And the next question is the least expensive. That will be this Beauty Creations Eye Bloom palette that I got from Walmart. This palette was just so cute. It's got, these flowers are embossed, you can feel them. And it's got all these pretty colors in here. And the pretty heart-shaped mirror with more embossing of the flowers. And it was just such a pretty little palette. I just had to have it. Unfortunately, the colors are not the best quality. I mean, you know, I can wear it from time to time, but the way the colors look and the way they actually translate on my face are two different things. So I don't wear it very often. Okay. The next one is the Everyday palette. Now, Everyday palette was a little difficult because nowadays I have a lot of palettes. So I don't just have one or two that I go to all the time. But of the ones that I do have, I find myself reaching for this one when I just don't want to think about what look I want, or, you know, I just want to do my face, out the door, go to work, whatever. The Viseart Golden Hour. Because this one has the basic colors. Then you have other colors that add a little interest, like these blues right here, this red, this purplish color. So this is a good everyday grab and go kind of eyeshadow palette when I don't really want to plan a look. So I find myself going to this more and more these days. The next is the most colorful palette. My most colorful palette, and most fun, I think, is this Moschino and Sephora laptop palette. This palette is just so cute. Of course, I waited till it went on sale before I bought it, but it was just so cute. The layout of it is like the keys of a laptop with the little, this is like your mouse pad here. And it has every color. And I like the layout of it, the way it has, if you just want like a more neutral look, you can just stick to the top row. If you want your reds and pinks, you go here. If you want purple, blue, you go here. And if you want teals and greens, you go here. I like palettes that have the colors laid out in a nice, organized way. So I can just look at it and say, okay, today I want to do purple. And then, you know, what I need is right there. And it's just super cute. I just love this palette. And it's also my most colorful. And the next is my smallest eyeshadow palette. Now I have quite a few small palettes. And I have quads and duals and all that, but I have a few palettes that are actual palettes that are small. You know, they have 8 shades or so in them. But the smallest one and the small palette that I have used most often is this tiny little Pure palette. This one is the Pure Night Fantasy. And when I first got this palette, I loved that it was mostly neutrals with a little bit of color. In fact, this was the first palette that I bought that actually had these cranberry shades. And you got the shimmer one and the matte one. So when I saw that this was a really cute little basic eyeshadow palette with reddish cranberry colors in it, I had to have it. And I used this palette a lot. When I first got it, this was my everyday go-to for quite a while. And I still like it. So it's tiny, it's cute, and it's just perfect. I really like this little palette. And then the biggest palette. When I think about which palette takes up the most space on the shelf, it would have to be this Estee Lauder palette. Because this thing's huge. But I'm not necessarily counting this one because it's not just eyeshadow. It has lipstick and face products and as well as eyeshadow. So even though this one takes up the most space for the purposes of this tag, my biggest actual eyeshadow palettes are these two from BH Cosmetics. They have 28 colors. I have the matte and the foils. So since they're the same size, I bought them at the same time, and they're both 28 pan eyeshadows. I can't really choose one because they're both the biggest. I had a lot of fun using these too when I first got them. Alright, and then palette with the best memory. My best memory surrounding an eyeshadow palette would be this Smashbox Matte Exposure Palette. What makes this one so memorable is, well, actually two things. This was my first high-end eyeshadow palette. My first Smashbox eyeshadow palette. I have some singles and some little tinier ones, but this was my first full-size Smashbox palette. And it was also my very first free palette. When Smashbox first started their loyalty points or something like that, I had purchased a few things from them before, so I was in their mailing list, and they sent me an email and asked me if I was interested in joining the loyalty program, and that if I joined, they would give me a certain number of points that I could redeem for anything on their website. So of course I said, sure, you know, I signed up, and they gave me enough points for $50 worth of free product. And they added on points for stuff that I had previously purchased. So I had enough points to get this, I believe it was like $54 at the time. I don't remember, but it was 50 or above. And so I was so excited to get this palette. It was high end. It come with its brush. It was my first all neutrals, my first Smashbox. I really enjoyed using this. And then not only that, but it's actually a really good quality palette. I like the layout of this one too, because you have your warms on one side and all your cools on the other. So I like that idea, you know. If I want a warm look, I'm over here. If I want a cool look, I'm over here. They're all mattes. So for a while, I didn't really wear a lot of shimmer. And so I chose this one with all mattes, and it's neutral and warm and cool, and the brush. And I wore these shadows every day for several months. That's another thing. As much as I've used them, it barely looks used. You can barely see a dip in any of them. And I use this palette. I mean, this palette got a lot of use. So this is the best memory. Okay, and then next is next is supposed to be worth the hype and then not worth the hype. But I'm going to switch that around so I can show you guys a better comparison. Okay, so we'll go with not worth the hype first. Okay. Now for me, this palette was hyped up. I wanted it. I even thought about buying dupes. I looked for dupes for it because I really wanted it, and it was expensive. And there was so much hype surrounding it. But I eventually bought it when I found it on sale. And that's the Too Faced chocolate bar. And I was so excited to get this palette because I love the beautiful, as you can see, I haven't tossed the box yet. So I love the box. I love that it looks like a chocolate bar, smells like chocolate. It was just perfect. Or so I thought. Now when I look at the colors, they're beautiful in the pan. But then when I go to wear it, it does not live up to the hype at all. Now this color right here, this beautiful brown shimmer, it looks so pretty until I put it on. Okay. Now you might think that's decent. Okay, sure, that's decent. And then let's see another. Let's try this purple shimmer. It looks shimmery in the pan, but when you put it on, it's just like a matte with a little bit of sparkle flecks in it. Let's see one more. How about this? This deep brown matte right here. Put it right there. Okay. He's not even swatching very well. So, you know, I look at them, they're okay. Yeah, sure, okay. Which brings me to worth the hype. Fingers off. Now this next palette is 100% worth the hype and then some. That would be Colored Rain, Queen of Hearts. There was a lot of hype surrounding this palette, and when I got my hands on it, I understood why. It's so beautiful. Not just to look at, because it is beautiful to look at, but they perform so well. If you just look at the pan, you can see there's no fallout, and I've used this a lot. And I swirl the brush in there. It does not get messy because it goes from the pan to the brush to your eye. None of the fallout, none of the other stuff. And then for comparison, let me show you. This is a brown shimmer shade. I'm going to swatch this one next to the other brown shimmer. Okay. Put this one right here. Look at that. They look the same in the pan, but look at the difference. Okay. And then I have this purple, well, this is supposed to be kind of a purple shimmer right here. Like a purpley brown. But I'm going to show you next to this purple. Right here. This is more purple, but just so you can see the difference. See how smooth and glossy that one is? It's not just a matte with a few shimmer flecks in it. It's actually beautiful satin. And then the matte brown, which I use all the time. Right here. Again, it looks the same as the other one in the pan. But can you see the difference between these two? They may look the same in the pan, but this one is much smoother, no fallout. It's not dusty, chalky. It doesn't fade and go away when you put it on your eye. None of that. Let me show you. So when I hold them up, together, you can kind of see how they look similar. Some of the shades look very similar, but they are completely different. In fact, let me see. Like these two shades right here, let me show you the difference. They're not the same either. Okay, this is the Too Faced. See how it just sort of goes away? I have to get more and put it on there. Okay. And then this one from Colored Rain. I just touch it. And I'm not putting a lot on my finger either, because you don't need a lot with these. Look at the difference. You see? Now I'll even put some more. I'll put more of the Too Faced one on so you can see. Okay, see? There's just no comparison between these two. Okay? Not worth the hype? Definitely worth the hype. All right. This is one of my favorite palettes, I guess you can tell. But I do love it. All right, now. Next is my most used palette. That would be this Pure Soiree Diaries palette. When I first signed up for BoxyCharm, this was in either the first or the second box that I ever got from them. And I just love this palette. Now, Pure as a brand gets mixed reviews. They can be kind of hit or miss. But this one was definitely one of the hits. As you can see, you can see some divots in there where I used to use this palette every single day, because when the job that I had started at 5:30 in the morning, I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. There wasn't a lot of time for playing around, and I refused to leave the house barefaced. So this was my go-to because, again, the layout and the quality. You don't see any shadows on the pan of this one either, because they don't fall out or they don't spread out all over the place when I'm in a hurry and I'm dipping them and I'm putting them on my eyes. I like the way that you have light mattes in one row, and then you have your deep mattes, and then you have the matching shimmers in the last row. And so I could just choose a look. If I was wearing a more of a warm color, I would choose one of these. This is like a medium brown neutral look. This is a warmer sort of reddish brown neutral look, and then these two are cool. So I have like a medium brown cool, and then the darker brown cool look over here. So if I'm wearing cooler colors, light or dark, I would choose one of these rows. Boom. Here, same thing. I have my base color, crease color, and shimmer. I could just pick a column and go, you know? It was just perfect. So I use this one a lot. I can safely say that I have used this palette more than any other palette. And I still do from time to time. The last one is a favorite palette from a favorite brand. You may think the logical choice would be Pat McGrath. And it may very well be, and you know, sometime in the future, but it's just, I haven't had a chance to actually wear this and live in it the way I have the one that I chose. This palette has gotten a lot of use. I've worn it a lot. 14-hour work days. This palette never let me down. The formulation, the colors, how easy it is to use, it's just perfect. That is Colored Rain, the Lovelies. Colored Rain makes some incredible eyeshadow. And the price is not too high. I got this one from Target. I think it was like $14 or $15. And this palette is amazing. Because you have your colors. You have like a olive green, this beautiful red, and then this beautiful blue. And then you have the softer colors up here, like a dusty pink, a shimmery pink, and then this off-white color. I love the formula, the colors, the feel, the way they look on my eyes, the way they last all day long. I have to swatch some of these colors for you because the Colored Rain formula is just like no other one. So whenever I would want, I could take a nice colorful look from here. Let's see, I'm going to swatch these. I guess right here. There's an olive green, gorgeous red, and this gorgeous blue. You don't need much. I just barely dip my brush in, put it on there, and it's there. It stays with me all day. I have another small Colored Rain palette too, and I would say if you're not really a makeup junkie like me and so many other people, and you just needed something, you know, nice neutral eye with a pop of color from time to time, I would say all you need is this Colored Rain palette and a good quality matte neutral palette like one of these. You got your base colors, and you have your beautiful pops of color here. Soft pink that actually shows up, okay? And it, you know, where did it go? But this one, let me find somewhere to put it. You see, it's a beautiful soft pink that shows up. And same with the shimmer. The shimmer is a nice soft pink too. And there it is. Look at that. No fallout, no crumbling, no making a mess all over the pan. So as of now, Colored Rain is my favorite eyeshadow brand. In a lot of the videos that I've watched, the Jackie Aina palette made the list for most worth the hype. And that's a palette that I wanted for a long time. From the time it first came out, I really wanted it. And then all of the reviews were just great. Everybody who used it loved it, and I wanted it. But it seemed like every time it went on sale, I was too late. It would sell out. I could never get my hands on it. So just recently, though, it was in the Ipsy add-on. So this time, I didn't hesitate. As soon as I saw it in the add-on, I popped it in the cart and just got it right away because I didn't want to miss out again. But I'm still waiting for it. It hasn't come yet. So I'm pretty sure that once I get my hands on it, I'll probably love it as much as everybody else. I'm excited and looking forward to trying it. But anyway, so that is all about my eyeshadow palettes. This was a fun YouTube tag. I enjoyed this. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.